Up next, the interview we've wanted to do since the fall of 1997, Shawn Michaels one-on-one. Let me make you some guarantees. He won't be wearing that. He will definitively answer questions about the Survivor Series. There'll be nothing left to ask after that. He will face the music from Bret Hart, and Shawn Michaels will make a stunning announcement at the end of the show. So much to talk about, so bring it on.
Off the Record with Michael Lansford is brought to you by the Keg Steakhouse and Bar. For great steaks, good friends, see you tonight.
We have had the pleasure over the years on Off the Record of interviewing all the biggest names in the wrestling industry, from Vince to Hogan to Flair to Mick to Bret. The list goes on, but there is one name that has been missing in our list, and he is here today. Shawn Michaels, thanks for joining us on Off the Record.
Thank you very much, and thanks for putting me in that class with big names, even though I'm probably down at the bottom there.
Well, I think right away people are shocked by the humility, and that will be the subject of much of what we talk about. For 5 years, guys have talked about you, said everything from brilliant performer to pain in the ass. I want to cover all of that on today's show, but let's start with your return. 1998, you left wrestling for back surgery, and you were told by your doctors afterwards, do not wrestle again. Now you are back, you are taking big bumps. Why?
That's $1 million question. Why? For what it's worth, they're still telling me not to wrestle. And I was never really good at listening to those guys anyway, I don't think. But to be serious, it was, when I came back, I had no intention of wrestling. I was just coming back to play a small role, supportive role on TV. And on Raw, my buddy Kevin Nash went out and wrestled, blew his quad out and went down. And the next day I was on the plane, and for the first time since I'd been back, I hadn't been back that long, but nothing creative had really been coming to me. And all these ideas started coming into my head. And at a point in my life now when those type of things happen, I try not to react. I try not to make decisions based on emotion anymore in my life. And so I sat there and I thought about it, I prayed about it, I meditated about it. And all of a sudden, these creative ideas started involving me in a wrestling situation. And to be perfectly honest, what I did was sit there and say, Lord, do you really, are you calling me to get back in the ring or anything there? And you're not supposed, and again, this is not for anybody out, this is not how you're supposed to make decisions in your life. But
So let me ask you this: when you were hearing this and you were getting this message, let's roll the tape. Is this what you were hearing as a viable suggestion for a guy? Take a look right there over your left shoulder. For a guy with a bad back, I mean, I cannot believe that anyone was advising you, hey, you know what? Go out and do that.
That's what I'm saying. Don't let me put the heat on the Lord. It wasn't his fault. Believe me. That's all human error. But no, it was. I was just. I guess long story short, I was led to Joshua 1:1, and it says, "Be strong and courageous, for I am with you." And I just thought, I just thought I wasn't going to put my, I was going to want to put my faith in action, and I don't know, it felt, I don't want to get too deep about it, but it just really felt moved to do it.
I think we got to clarify this for people, because you have not done a lot of these interviews, and I think in Canada this is probably the first, and people are hearing you making reference to the Lord and Christianity and getting direction, and you're talking about the Bible. You are a born-again Christian, right?
Yes.
As of April the 24th of last year.
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes. And it is something that has completely taken over my life in the most positive of ways, and so I don't make any decisions that I don't think will glorify the Lord. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does make sense, but none of this makes sense because you were the Heartbreak Kid. You were a guy with a persona. You were the ultimate prima donna, in the ring, outside the ring, in the locker room, and everywhere. When you look back at Shawn Michaels, Heartbreak Kid, the guy that you were, what do you think?
Immature, I think, is one word. There are a lot more abrasive words.
Use them.
But I would, but I refrain from using them. But no, I mean, I was a pain, as you said, but for what it's worth, it always came from just my passion for the business, and I just wasn't good at controlling it. I wasn't good at channeling it. I just went, but it all came from just a desire to be. I say desire, it was probably at that time, to be honest, probably more obsession. than desire. And again, it's not healthy. It didn't manifest itself in healthy ways.
If you and I were having this interview a year ago, before April the 24th, when you found the Lord, it'd be very different, right?
Very much.
You see yourself very differently now. I think you see yourself a lot more clearly. And I don't want to put words in your mouth. The Lord did that for you, right?
Yeah. No.
You see yourself very differently now than you would have before.
Yeah, well, I do, and I do think it, and it isn't me. It's nothing that I have done, with the exception of of saying Jesus, take over my life, because I've made a mess of it. So can you take?
What are you
it from
ashamed
here?
of that you did? And I didn't plan on asking that question, but as you look back, I'm thinking that there's stuff in your mind that you don't like about you.
I like everything about me now.
But I'm talking about back then.
But I mean, I just, for whatever reason, I didn't, and I don't know if I didn't like myself. I couldn't find any happiness in anything I was doing. I mean, I wanted to be successful in the wrestling business, and when I was still just as miserable as can be. And you always hear about people who've been led to the Lord, who they're always searching for something. I guess obviously I had to be one of those people. That is what. I don't know, I was looking for fulfillment.
Because you made it to the top, right? There's no question that you were at the very top of your game. A lot of people say you were one of, if not the greatest wrestlers of all times. You were a brilliant performer in the ring. You were a brilliant performer with the microphone. You were everything that a wrestling promoter could want. But to make it to the top, some guys climb over people and step on people. Did you step on people on the way?
No, I stepped on them, I think, after I got there. I never, I was always...
Who'd you step on? When you were there?
Once I got there?
Yeah, when you were at the top.
Well, I don't know. I can't say that I stepped on it, but I can't say that I brought a lot of dignity to the position I was in. I could have handled it a lot better. I wasn't as professional as I should have been. I was still very immature. I said stupid things. I did stupid things. Made bad decisions. But before. I was on top. I mean, I just went out there and tried to have the best matches I could. Part of it is, you're not a threat to anybody. I was probably saying some of the same things I said once I got on top. It's just nobody pays attention when you're support on the card. And then once you get on top, everybody's listening.
I gather there's nothing I can't ask you that you don't want to answer, right? Pretty much. Can I ask you about Bret Hart?
Sure, yeah.
He was on this show and he made some comments about you. Plus, I really want to know, as do all Canadian wrestling fans, about '97 Survivor Series. Will you tell us?
Yes.
We'll do that next on OTR.
Off the Record with Michael Landsberg is brought to you by the Keg Steakhouse and Bar. For great steaks, good friends, see you tonight.
We've done maybe 1,200 of these shows, one-on-one interviews, probably 50 or 60. Almost always feel like I know what to expect. This time, I had absolutely no idea. This is a total shock. Shawn Michaels, it's been a pleasure so far. We got so much more to talk about. How important is it to you to be seen differently by people now than the way they saw you, say, 4 or 5 years ago?
Oh, I don't know that it's... I mean, with all due respect to people and everything else, it's not... I mean, I can't concern myself with trying to change the minds of millions of people around the world. I hold myself accountable to one person, and that's it. And that's,
You're not talking about Vince now, right?
Nope.
Okay, just wanted to make sure, because a few years ago, that would have meant something very different.
No, sure, certainly. But, no, and, I read something in a book, and you and I were talking about it earlier. I read something that said, don't preach me a sermon, show me one. All I can do is live my life doing the best I can to be accountable to the Word of God. That's what I do. And if I fall short, He'll let me know, and I'm sure 1,000 other people will too. But I can't worry about trying to change the minds of a lot of people.
Right, and I got to play you this clip from Bret Hart. He was on our show a while back, and I said to him on the air, I said, we're going to play the clip for Shawn Michaels. So I asked him what he thought of Shawn Michaels right now. Take a look, and then I want your comment.
I'd say he was a two-faced, lying chicken shit. And I'm probably being nice to him.
And now?
No, I don't think that's a snake that never changes stripes. Shawn, He was the kind of guy that would make friends with you or bury the hatchet with you 10 minutes later, and 10 minutes later he'd be out there stabbing you in the back again. You couldn't make peace with him.
Now, clearly, Brett does not know you now. You haven't had contact with Brett for a long time, right?
Right.
So he's talking about how you were. Is that a fair comment? Talking about how you were when he knew you, when you wrestled together.
No, I don't even think that's fair to even how I was then. It would be a little tough to say I was the kind of guy that, I mean, we obviously never buried the hatchet with one another, and each time we tried, one of us. You know, the thing is, I think the difference between Brett and I is that I'm willing to take responsibility for my part of it and have asked for, you know, have said that I was sorry and have asked for forgiveness and have forgiven my part of it. I've taken responsibility for my part of it. But that's always a two-way street, and I can't control. Brett certainly has a right to his opinion, but I can't, you know, I can't make up Bret Hart's mind for him. And as I say, he is entitled to his opinion. But no, it's I don't even think that's fair.